Hi, I'm Megan and I'm a crew member here at the Baltic, and today I'm going to be doing a tour of Carolina Caycedo's Land of Friends. So Carolina was born in London to Colombian parents, but she's currently based in LA. This is her first survey in Europe and her first solo exhibition in the UK. She's really engaged with themes of environmental activism and social justice, where she advocates for the right of local communities and the right of rivers and land systems. She critiques capitalist and colonial systems, particularly extractive economies that take from the natural landscape and waterways, and fights against destructive hydroelectric dam building that destroys local biodiversity and also affects the local communities surrounding the rivers. So this is the Serpent Book that was curated for this exhibition. It documents the Be Damned project, which is an ongoing project of Carolina's since 2012, which involves kind of case studies and explorations of local rivers that have been affected by dam building. So Carolina visited these communities to see how they'd been impacted by environmental destruction. So the river book kind of meanders around like the structure of a river. And at the start you can see a river god which kind of pours its heart out into the content of the culture and kind of history of the river and the local communities that surround it. So the focus upon rivers also advocates for the self-determination of the local people that are part of the indigenous community, so that their land rights are respected and they're able to make their own decisions about their own environments. As well as this, it respects the sovereignty of the river as a living entity that has its own culture and its own history and its own right to exist on the planet outside of human structures. So this piece is titled Land of Friends, which is an indigenous translation for the river Yuma, which runs through Colombia and is central to this exhibition. It's a series of 3 satellite images forming a kind of colonial gaze from above, which looks down into this militaristic viewpoint as a position of dominance over the land. It kind of zooms in on 3 different points of the dam's construction. So usually when visitors come in, from afar you can see it as this abstract painting, creating this kind of marble effect, but as you come in closer to the piece, you could kind of see where these industrialized sites have been sparked up across the environment and where the river has been obstructed. So the River Yuma was renamed River Magdalena by Spanish colonizers in the 16th century, but the local communities still maintain its original name. In the river you meet other people to trade goods, so it is also a sign of exchange and a meeting point for indigenous peoples to come together. So this water series shows 3 different bodies of water and kind of mimics the meandering and flow of a natural river. So it subverts this linearity that's imposed on by dam building projects, which kind of force rivers into one singular flow. You also get the impression of being beneath the riverbed, as you can stand under and kind of travel through the waves of the water, creating this connection between human subjectivities and the non-human existences of the natural world. So this is the video called Patron Mono, which documents the experience of a diver going underwaters to extract gold from the riverbeds. It invites you to kind of step into this space and immerse yourself in the natural riverways, and it subverts this view of landscape as humans being outside of nature by instead telling you to come forward and come in. So this is the Tyne Catchment poster which was commissioned for the exhibition. The Tyne has fallen victim to kind of this cold extractive history. At one point the fish left the riverbeds and the river faced a lot of pollution through the Industrial Revolution. It kind of documents the rich cultural history of the Tyne River and the sort of social movements that have popped up around it, such as the migrant community marches in South Shields, suffragettes addressing the unions, the Durham Gala, and also zooms in on moments such as the salmon coming back to the riverbeds and folk tales of the region, as well as our rich fishing tradition. The series of 9 artisanal fishing nets are handmade by local indigenous peoples and are a traditional form of cast fishing that they use in their local rivers. The nets form a kind of network in the way that they're kind of interwoven, representing this idea of pluriverse that Indigenous communities believe in, that there are many subjectivities, many worlds, both non-human and human, that come together in this collectivity. This idea of network subverts these Western models of hierarchy, where certain groups are at the top of the chain, dominating over other marginalized voices. The net is a form of embodied knowledge accumulated and inherited from family. It's involved in processes of care and rooted in sustenance and sustaining life. Caycedo believes that our society would function better if it was designed like these nets. They are malleable equipment, able to grab sustenance and allow the waters to flow through them. If a knot was to break, the whole structure isn't compromised, but continues to work and can always be repaired. However, our society currently works like a dam, a huge impermeable structure that cuts the flow of water and with it the flow of life. My Feminine Lineage of Environmental Struggle is a portrait collection of over 150 different environmental female activists who have either been killed, incarcerated, imprisoned or critiqued for their beliefs in environmental justice. Colombia actually has the largest amount of killed environmentalists in recent years, making it a very dangerous place to be an activist. This tent called Let's Walk Together was produced for the Artisan Museum of Leon, a city in northern Spain, and citizens were asked to donate clothes and write messages of liberation and emancipation on to do with women's rights and also political and social rights. The tent is also owned by the citizens of Leon and is free to rent and be brought out to public spaces, which incorporates this idea of community and collaboration that Carolina really feels strongly about. Carolina has made a connection to local social justice movements emerging from the Durham Gala. This involves a collection of banners from women's movements, as she sees a direct link between female rights and environmental rights in the fact that women and the land have similarly been exploited throughout history and extracted from through their labour and their bodies.